Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another episode of the We Talk Talent series. And I'm very delighted to welcome today's guest with us, Mr. Amit Chincholikar, Global CHRO, Tata Consumer Products Limited. Welcome, Amit.
Hey Priya, thank you for having me. Wonderful to be here.
So, Amit doesn't need an introduction, but I will still go ahead and try to give a little bit. Amit is a part of the Global Executive Committee for Tata Consumers and focuses on harnessing the power of people transformation to fuel the group's aspiration of creating a best in class global FMCG company. Amit moved into this role from Tata Sons, where he was Senior Vice President, Head Human Resources. He has been with Tata Group since 2010, and prior to which he has worked with Aditya Birla Group and Mercer Consultancy across all HR domains, including mergers and acquisition, HR strategy, talent, learning, compensation, and business partnership roles. Amit has also worked in several geographies across the world and has lived in India, Singapore, and the US. In his current role, he is also responsible for the key agendas of sustainability, business excellence across Tata Consumer Products. So, Amit, with that, I would like to straight jump into my first question and ask you if you can share a brief overview of the sudden changes that the workplace has gone through in the past couple of years. If you could share a few of those with us, since you come with a large set of experiences across geographies and across industries. So, if you could share with us.
So I think the biggest set of changes that we saw essentially was around the whole definition of workplace, right? So suddenly you had a situation wherein the workplace was in your house. And people needed to kind of adjust to this whole phenomenon of being at a location that was really that they saw as their private space suddenly becoming their workplace. I think the second obviously was the advent of technology, because suddenly you found that you could, and I think this was a significant advantage that we've realized over a period of time, is that you could pretty much connect with anyone in the world, on a screen. So it didn't matter whether the person was 500 meters away or 500,000 kilometers away. You simply could just connect, across a screen. So I think that was the second change that happened in the workplace. I think the third big change that happened was the whole concept of flexibility, right? So it allowed people to log in from anywhere. In a lot of ways, it allowed people to be reasonably flexible about the times that they'd like to work, the locations that they could choose for some period of time. The fourth thing I think that really impacted the definition of workplace was the fact that commute came down. And if you look at the large cities that you have across the world, I think the average commute time one way in most locations is between 40 to 60 minutes. So this actually gave you back 120 minutes of your time, and it's a separate story on what we chose to do with it. But that was the other thing that kind of came through from a workplace perspective. So I think these were 3 or 4 big changes that took place. I think the one important thing that I'd like to call out really is that it really democratized the ability of people to participate, and therefore in some ways was a big boost to the whole concept of inclusion, right? Because in a room full of people, sometimes you might be you're not sure whether you should speak, you should not speak, how does it work? But when everyone's on a screen, it really democratized and provided people with the opportunity to come up, present a point of view, etc., all of that. So that's the one how shall I say, significant yet unanticipated benefit that I've seen in terms of the changing definition of the workplace care.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this is very unique and different perspective that you shared with us about speaking up. That's really first time I've been heard about something like that. And I think it's very relevant and I can relate to with this as well. So with that, I would like to ask you my second question as well, since you have also mentioned about the changes that the workplace has gone through, and it has also led to the demands of different kind of skills that now as an individual we need to be more relevant and successful in the new remote and hybrid work culture. So, with that, I would like to ask you, according to you and your industry demands, what type of skills shortage do you think is causing the talent war? Since the talent war has always been the talk of the towns.
So, to my mind, the talent war is not just being caused by skill changes, but it's also by lifestyle and attitude changes. So that's the one thing to reflect on, right? So very often it's not like you're not there is shortage of a particular type of skill. It's just that people are prioritizing other things. Rather than just coming into the workplace or spend their, 8 to 10 hours a day at a conventional workplace, be it remote, hybrid, or in the office. So I think part of the talent war has come from people stepping back and making conscious choices to live their life differently. That's one. I think the other is from a skills perspective. What we've really found is, and I mean, maybe I can talk a little bit more from the consumer product, industry point of view. You suddenly found that everything that you needed, from a consumer goods perspective, was something that could get to your house at the press of a button. And that's not just true for consumer goods, but for most things, actually, in terms of the way it's turned out. But there is a whole industry or a whole mechanism that is operating at the back end to make that happen, right? As far as businesses are concerned. So I think the big skills really were around how is it that you are able to reach consumers through mediums that were beyond conventional. So I mean, earlier you would either go to a modern trade store, which is a large retail chain, or to a grocery store, or your good old kirana wala chacha who would who you'd kind of go and have a chat with. Now suddenly you had an option to shop online. You had an option to kind of compare prices, etc. So to my mind, the biggest skills that this industry is really looked at is the ability to be able to create a seamless consumer experience from a digital perspective. Because there are three parts. One is you would like to get onto a platform. The second is you'd like to have the ability of making a choice. And the third is you'd like to look at when is it that you will get your product delivered. Now, all of these three combine to provide you a seamless consumer experience as far as an FMCG brand is concerned, be it a brand of a tea or coffee or salt or anything or a pulse or pulses that you want to kind of offer. So I think from a skills perspective, I would say digital, I would say consumer marketing or consumer focus. And the third is what we like to call as revenue growth management, which is understanding which product of what size and which brand is appealing in which part of the country. I think became a very big skill gap that was there. I think the other big skill gap that everyone's now scrambling to fulfill is what we call as the unrealized potential of rural India. Because you can shop anywhere, India is not about Delhi, Hyderabad, or Mumbai. India is now about Rehala, Behala, Shambhupura. And what is it that you're able to do to be able to tap into this market, to be able to make sure that you're able to reach a consumer? Because there's one very interesting thing. If you travel across the country, virtually or otherwise, you will find that there are two things that now happen in every small city or village in India. One is that you have an English medium school. So there is an aspiration of people to learn English. The second is, in whichever way or form, you have a beauty parlor. Now, these two things are indicative of the fact that there is a rural India that has got aspirations that you need to kind of reach out to and understand what is their consumption pattern, what do they buy, what do they like, and their preferences could be very different. So the fact that you have to now work very closely with consumers with what we are like to call as the N is equal to one mentality, right, is the other key skill that we've kind of found a shortage of. So these are three, I would say: digital, consumer marketing and insights, and a strong understanding of the buying power or the buying potential of rural India is something that companies are scrambling towards, is what my sense is.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you for sharing all those points. These points have given us a deeper understanding of the FMCG sector and what is happening right now in. So with that, I would like to ask you my third question. Since you mentioned how the skills has changed, workplaces has changed, also the attracting the talent has also been the biggest challenge for the companies right now. So if you can shed some light on your current employee branding strategy and how it has evolved from past.
So, the one thing that we've realized now is that people don't look at careers, right? People don't want to look at spending, 10 or 20 years or any amount of time with one particular company. And when we research this a little deeper, we realize that it's not so much about the company per se, but it's about the need to have different sets of experiences that will allow people to be able to, round off their experiences, have a greater opportunity, have a greater challenge that they are kind of able to do. So from an employer branding strategy, we've done three things. I think one thing that we've consciously done very differently is most employer branding strategies tend to focus on the outside. So they try to talk to people who you want to go out and hire. We have consciously focused on our employer branding strategy on the inside, because we said here is a pool of people who's already in. And this is something that companies, in my view, sometimes tend to miss. They tend to focus a lot on the talent that they would like to hire, which could be 20-30%, let's say, of your total workforce, right? But you have 70-80% of people who are there with you. What is it that you're doing to be able to, kind of go out with your employer brand to them? So we've kind of activated what we like to call as a talent marketplace within Tata Consumer. What that means is every job, when it's available, the first preference is always to fill that position from within. Now, what has that meant? Now, that is easier said than done, because everyone wants to look for the perfect candidate, right? So we've kind of run this whole thing around the company that says that even if a person is 60-70% ready for the job, let us take the opportunity. It puts greater onus on that person's manager to make sure that he or she is able to scale up. But as a result, today we have 45% of all our open positions that actually get filled from within. And then what happens is your employer brand story is not the one that's told by the CEO or by the marketing team or by the HR team. It is what your employees say. So when you've got opportunities for 45% of people to grow from within, automatically you've got a set of brand ambassadors who are kind of out there, who are able to talk about what is it that they've personally experienced, right? That's strategy number one. Strategy number two, we have consciously focused on, going out and hiring or creating a pipeline, not just with MBA students, but with a variety of entry level disciplines, be it engineering, be it R&D, food technology, be it around tea buying and blending, which is a little bit of a rare skill, be it chartered accountants, be it digital data analytics folks, MBA folks. So what we've done is we've gone out there, and what we basically told people is that we are a company that is in a hurry, because like I said, we've got a unique combination and responsibility in our name, because we bring together Tata, that stands for leadership with trust, with consumer, which is what the FMCG platform is all about. So when we've done this, guided kind of campaign that we've spoken to lots of young people that we've kind of gone through, we've been able to create a conscious pipeline for people to come in and experience and have several different kinds of experiences without ever having to change their job. So I think that's the one thing that has, kind of reasonably worked for us. The second thing that we've consciously done is we've talked about the whole opportunity of responsibility that we have towards nutrition, towards growth. Like, for example, if you look at, salt, a large part of our identity and our responsibility really is about saying that there is a chronic shortage, or there is a malnutrition that this country experiences that we are not even aware of. Because like I said, we tend to focus on the urban and the rural, or the semi-rural in some ways. But testimony to the responsibility that any brand enjoys comes from the fact of whether it's able to get the poorest of the poor, the people who are the most marginalized, who have not had opportunities, to be able to have an opportunity for a better life. And the biggest step to that you can do is by working on nutrition, because you can't preach morality to an empty stomach. Right. So a lot of work that we have done is around creating this responsibility to be able to work through with communities that really need help, that really need support. So I think this combination has helped people realize that there is a unique opportunity, not just to become better professionals, but help, provide a shot to a larger, Indian community, or, Indians, in the country, to have a shot at a better life. And, at the end of the day, Priya, we define ourselves not just by the work we do, right? But we define ourselves by the identity of who we stand for. And there is nothing more satisfying for most of us than to say, I played a role in helping someone who needed help to get better. And that's a very powerful brand promise. I mean, you can just kind of talk about it, but when you start experiencing this through your products, through the campaigns you do, through the story that you commit on nutrition, on sustainability, right? To say that we will make sure that because we are let's say we source a lot of tea and pulses which is from the unorganized sector, what is it that we are doing to make the lives of the tea planters better? Yeah, what is it that we are doing to be able to get more people a shot at a better education? And we've always found that not only is it the right thing to do, but young people are really inspired by the opportunity to really drive and make change, right? It is really important because I always say that we've not inherited this world from our parents, right? We borrowed it from our children. So we have a responsibility to leave it or make it a better place. So we've imbibed all of this, truly into making the brand promise that Tata Consumer kind of stands for. And let me assure you, Priya, this is not a campaign. This is an ideology that we truly believe in. So you'll not see this on a billboard. You'll not see this on a website, but you will experience it if you're in the company, right? So, I mean, the whole idea is being able to build a series of collective experiences that allows people to make choices. So that's what we've kind of tried to do from an employer brand perspective, Priya.
Yeah, living by the values and experiences that gives a greater sense of belonging to the overall objective that the organization and we all are aware of the kind of work Tatas are doing. So that's like a no-brainer. Since you also mentioned how the new generation is more connected to the greater purpose. And so I would like to ask you, what is your take on new generation entering the workforce and how do you see their expectations differ from the previous generation that has been working over the years?
So I think they differ in 3 or 4 ways, right? The new generation, first of all, we tend to underestimate how mature, the new generation is. And the reason why I say that is, if you look at the last 22 years, from 2000 to 2022, let's say that references the new generation, right? They have seen a 9/11. They have seen the economy crumble a couple of times. They have seen the change of fascist regimes, right? They have seen, something like COVID, which is, once in a almost like a once in a lifetime or a once in a century kind of event. Now, a lot of these events, when you experience this, right, shape your perspective. So my belief is we tend to underestimate the maturity that young people come into the workforce with, right? Because they've experienced a lot of this firsthand. They've grown up seeing all of this. Point number one. Point number two, therefore, given that young people have been brought up, rightly so, with always saying that you must have a point of view, and not only must you have a point of view, but you should be in a position to express it, right? So they are vocal. They've got a point of view. They care about environment. They care about sustainability. They care about nutrition. They care about causes that are really important. That really make a difference to the world at large. The third is that they obviously look at flexibility because for them, work is part of their life. It's not life itself. So they're looking at experiences. They want flexibility. They want to travel. They want to see the world. They want to, kind of experience the joy of, doing multiple things kind of all at once. They want to have the flexibility of being able to work through, from different locations. They want to have this experience of saying, what if I can work for one company 2 days a week, another company 3 days a week, and just, maybe, go windsurfing one day of the week. Now, the challenge is that the workplace is not entirely caught up with this, right? So sometimes what happens is we like people to have a point of view, and we brought up young people, saying that you must express a point of view. But what we've missed is that we should be able to accept that point of view, even if it is different from ours. And I think that's where the struggle at workplace is. So, while the last couple of years has told us or shown us that flexibility is possible, you can work from multiple locations, etc. I think there is a mindset change that most organizations need to go through to say that flexibility, agility, and adaptability are the 3 things that will define the workplace of the future. Now, whether you like it or not, this change is going to happen. So organizations and let's say other generations that are there in the workforce, the earlier they're able to adapt to it, the better it is. Because unlike several generations of the past, Generation Z now has an opportunity or has a choice. Right? There are multiple sets of employers. There are different things that happen. Information travels across the world in an instant that people know. So they have the ability, and like I said, we tend to underestimate that they have the maturity to be able to make choices. So I think organizations have to catch up to that paradigm very, very quickly. I think the conventional ways of working slowly will kind of start moving out. Of course, you will still need the whole concept of the last mile fulfillment as far as a consumer is concerned. So even if you order something through an online app, it still gets delivered to you by somebody, right? So the last mile fulfillment will still need to happen. Manufacturing will still need to take place. But I think, like I said, most practices and policies have largely been employer driven so far. I think the new generation that's entering the workplace is going to ensure that, like I said, flexibility, agility, and adaptability will change the way organizations have been, thinking about some of these principles. I mean, a lot of thinking has already started happening in this, but I think it's going to accelerate much faster now.
Yeah, thank you, Amit, for sharing all those points and taking out time for us and coming out today. You have shared some very relevant and relatable points that would be an enriching experience for our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya. It was a pleasure being here.